Many of you know him from last year. He did a seminar on Chainsaw 101. This year he's going to do 201. So I will turn it over to him, and here you go. All right.
I don't think it's on yet. How about now?
Yeah, that works.
Hey, I'm Tim. The bios that you write for these things, you know, every time you go have to write a bio out, you put it all down there and you think you did good, and then as soon as you send it in, you always go back and say, oh man, I should have wrote that, I should have did this or that. You know, it's just, your bio though is a very important part of carving, okay, because people, if they just wanted an object to buy, okay, for a gift or whatever, you can get that at Walmart, okay? There's no personal attraction to that piece. There's 20 million of them on the shelves. You can get every one of them. But when they buy a piece of art, they want to meet the artist. They want to talk to the artist. So it's great when you like have somebody working with you at the fair, you know what I mean? They're helping you sell your stuff, you know, taking money for you. That's great, but I found like 9 times out of 10, it's like, I want to speak to the artist. And it's like, well, hold on a minute, he's trying to sell that bench to that guy, you know what I mean? It's hard, but they want to speak to the artist. They want that personal contact. Because 9 times out of 10, you go to these beautiful houses and you see this cool carving or sculpture in the corner of the room, it's like, that's awesome. And those people won't say, yeah, it's a bear. No. They'll say, yeah, we were up north. There's a thing called the Chainsaw Carver's Rendezvous, and we bought this off this guy. He was in from Missouri. You should see. So all of a sudden, they got this connection. It's not the bear. It's the story behind it that they find definitive. So be personable and make sure your bio kind of reflects that open-heartedness to the thing. No, I forget. You're gonna have to like pull up the list because I forgot what the heck I told you I was gonna talk about.
Well, that's why we put it in slides here.
All right. Safety. That is the most important part about carving, because if you're safe and everybody around you is safe, you can keep carving. So when you carve without any, this is one of the few parts of this thing that you cannot argue with me. I will stand on firm ground on this. Wear chaps, wear glasses, wear muffs, okay? Do it. And when that crowd walks up and there's 5 carvers, and one of them's not wearing chaps, glasses, and muffs, okay? Immediately they start watching the other 4 because he's a hobby carver. He's not a professional at what he's doing. We're gonna watch the professionals. So that is big. It's not just how you're viewed, but I mean, my chaps are laying outside out there, and if you ever see, I've had people come up and say, wow, really nice leather chaps. It's like, no, they were orange at one time. I just got them broke in good. But yeah, so make sure you wear, and not just sunglasses, man. I mean, sunglasses are nice. Polycarbon, make sure they're polycarbon. Because, I mean, people say, well, how often are you gonna get really hit in the face with a block of wood? Yeah. Really? I mean, that's pretty rare. Not in my reality. I've been carving for 14 years, and dude, I have smacked him off my face before. Literally, Daniel gave himself a bloody nose one time with a block of wood, man. It came out of there hard and fast, and but it didn't break my glasses, and my glasses are basically what saved my face that day. Make sure you wear them, you know, and good ones too. You can find them that they, there's not much gap in around here, see, because that's the difference between a work glass and a sunglass. Sunglasses, you can look out the corners, and these, you can't so much, you know, but make sure you have quality glasses. A lot of them nowadays are almost in vision enhancement too, the way they focus in. They're really nice to use. Earplugs and muffs, definitely. There's times, like I have one saw out here that I'll show you a little later here. But that saw is so loud, it's unreal. I put in both. If I have to make more than 4 cuts with that saw, I put in earplugs, and then I put my muffs on over top of them, because that thing will rattle your freaking eardrum. So make sure that you're protecting your ears, and good quality muffs are worth their weight. You know, they're comfortable, and they're not, You know, people say, oh, well, you can get these here for like $6. And it's like, yeah, they're worth about $6. Because you put them on, they're not comfortable, they drive you nuts. Either that or they squeeze your head together like a pimple and you're going like, I can't stand this. It drives you nuts. So you have to be comfortable. Comfortable gear, comfortable glasses, comfortable muffs, and comfortable chaps. You know what I mean? A lot of chaps that most people wear, and I'm going to blame this on the dealerships, they don't offer the real good ones. Those are just a frontal apron chap over the front of your legs. And how many times do you go like this, and that chap slicks out to the side, and right there's your knee. Now, if that saw kicks up off, it's going into your knee. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I just really don't like those. I like the ones that wrap either the whole way around your leg or the chainsaw pants. If you get on .co.uk sites or German still sites, you can actually get decent quality chainsaw pants. Now, like I said, now they're quality, so you're going to pay for them. You know, you can get into $400 or $500 on a pair of pants. But, wow, dude, you notice when the Germans come on and all the Europeans, like Dave Flemings, when he walks out on the field, he looks like a pro. He does. You're like, man, where'd you get that jacket? Dude, that's awesome. If he's one of the 4 or 5 carvers standing there, people are going to watch him because he looks more professional. Okay, so you kind of want to keep that in mind, because people just, they don't know nothing about you, and chances are they don't know much about the art either. They're going to go with the best dressed person. It's human nature. That's who they're going to watch. Now these pants here that I have on, they're one of the most comfortable work pants I've ever found. They're by Duluth. They're fire hose pants. So, I mean, literally, when you're out there working in the rain and the water comes off your canopy, it just brushes right off your leg and you don't get wet. But the pocket systems are comfortable. There's room for your saw wrench. Everything is just like right on you. They're really comfortable to wear, and they're quality too. There's even pads. You can rip them open here and put a pad in for the knee. It Velcros up, and they sell you a pad that you can put in there. So if you spend a lot of time crawling around like I do when you carve, you can put pads in.
And what kind of pants are those?
These are made by Duluth, and if y'all have a 34-inch inseam or shorter, order now, because they're trying to get rid of all their winter stock. I can't get them till like July when they come back out with a 36-inch length. Run the next batch off. Another thing that's really important with safety is we all burn. Okay, we all use burning accents on our carvings and stuff like that. And we're standing in the middle of a pile of sawdust that's saturated with bar oil. Well, there's a no-brainer. But sawdust fires. I want to address this because it's very, very important. I mean, we go out there and we sell everything, and once the house payment's made and the truck payment's made and the insurances are all paid up, then you buy food. But when it's all said and done, you have a shop and you have all this equipment that you've built up. It doesn't take a whole lot to burn it down. Okay? If you get a sawdust fire, who knows, how do you put out a sawdust fire? It's damn near impossible. It is almost impossible. I worked down in South Carolina in a roof truss factory, and there was a sawdust fire in the building one night. And I told my boss, I says, hey, we'll take a couple minutes, move everything out of the way. We'll just shovel up the burning sawdust, everything that's burning. We'll bring the front end loader in, take it all outside, let it burn out. He says, nah. And he went over and he got the hose and he stuck the garden hose in it. And then about every 20 minutes, he'd look at me and laugh and pick up the hose and move it over a little bit and shove it back in the pile. That hose ran for an hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, yeah, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I think they called the fire department when that end of the building went up in flames. Oh. You cannot put that sawdust fire out. It's a smudge pot, man. If you get a fire, remove it. Just remove it from your carving area, get it out into an area and let it burn out or whatever, but don't try to put it out. I mean, just, you can blow it out or whatever like that, but remove any burnt sawdust because it will catch back up. It just sits there and smolders like a cigarette, okay? So just be careful with them. And the last thing I'd really like to address, Sue O'Sullivan, where's she at? The most deadly, sadistic tool on planet Earth is the Lancelot. Okay? I challenge anybody to be able to come up with a procedure that you can do with that I can't do with the chainsaw. okay? And you're gonna find it's 9 times, it's so much easier to do with a chainsaw because it's easier to hold. You have 2 handles and your hands are spread out more so than tight together on that grinder. That chainsaw has a brake on it. So if it kicks, it stops. Okay? And the bar is up there and I'm back here. Now, let's look at the Lancelot. The disc is right here, your hands are right here, you have no spread on your hands like that, and if it's running 5,000 RPMs from the moment you hit that switch, and it ain't gonna stop. It has no brakes, it has nothing. That thing kicks, it's gonna eat something. Probably you. There's a million pictures of stuff on the internet, Lancelot pictures. If you have a strong stomach, go ahead and look at them.
They haven't been sued out of business yet?
I don't know how they're still in business with it like that. I mean,
You can't get them at Ace Hardware or any place in the
yeah, and yeah, I tell you what, I only buy them for joke Christmas gifts. I send the carvers. It's like, here, to show you how much I love you, I got you this.
I got one.
You do hate me, I knew it was true. But yeah, so that Lancelot, if you have one, you know, I mean, you should hang it on the wall as a memento to safety. You know what I mean? And just when you look up to it, think of the stupid guy that made it. No, yeah, but those I don't care how long you've been carving. That's wrong. That tool's just mean. Okay, so I'm just advising everybody, don't use it. Don't put yourself in a situation. That's what my biggest thing is. Don't put yourself in a situation where you can be hurt, and you'll never be hurt. If you never fly on an airplane, you'll never be in a plane wreck. Simple math right there. All right, and let's flip the page. All right, I don't use chainsaws to carve. I use gasoline-powered carving equipment. Okay, yeah, you want to grab up for me, brother? When you get these saws out of the box, okay, they come with a homeowner chain on them with that little anti-kickback shark tooth on there that's in between every tooth. And the first thing most carvers do is they take that chain off and put a real chain on that. You don't have to. If you take a 420 cutting wheel, you can go in there and cut them little, because there's a little space line in the bottom of it. You can cut both sides of it off, and it just cuts that piece off. And it essentially will make you a skip tooth chain. And you will find that little bugger cuts probably faster than the one you're about to replace at the new one, you know, without the anti-kickback tooth on it. So yeah, that chain, don't throw that away. That's actually a cool tool. But they come normally with a sprocket nose bar on them. They'll come with a sprocket nose up front, in the front of your bar. This is a hard nose bar. Okay, there is no gear up here. Okay, when they come with that sprocket nose bar, okay, what that saw is set up to be is that sprocket is the same gearing as the drive on the saw. It's kind of like a bicycle. You know what I mean? And with that chain, you have to keep that chain snug. Okay? Not tight. I take it to where the chain sag is, you could probably fit a business car in between the chain and the rail. You know what I mean? So the teeth are up, the drive gears are up in the bar. Okay, but just not quite tight. Okay? And what that'll do is that keeps the distancing on the chain proper to the gear back here. Okay? If you put slack in your chain, what happens is when you're tip cutting, or you as soon as you enact the bar, that slack is dragging on the backside. It's dragging on the backside of your drive gears, and it's wearing out your drive gear. It is. So yeah, it's essential to, if you're going to run a sprocket nose bar, that it's the same bar. Because the first thing you do when you get these saws is we try to make it into a carving saw. The first thing I suggest you do before you even use the saw much is take out these two bolts on the front of the exhaust system. There's a screen in there. Okay, it's California emission screen. Now, if you're from California, you're not allowed to take that out by law. You could cause a forest fire, and as many as they have out there, I don't know, I'd probably leave it in. but if you take that out of there, all of a sudden, your engine can breathe. The faster you get exhaust out of an engine, the more room there is for fuel and air coming in. So the faster you feed it in and get it out, the faster the saw will run. Okay? Now, not too many carvers are also machinists to go ahead and start porting and polishing and tearing down carburetors and stuff like that. So the best thing you can do is open your exhaust system up. So once your saw is able to breathe, she'll open up for you. You'll get a couple more 1,000 RPMs out of it. You'll find it's really, and your saw won't clog up and get musky, you know what I mean? How it gets muffled and stuff like that, and it just won't open up, you know?
Does that
That's
wear
what
the
it is.
engine out faster?
Huh?
Does that wear the engine out faster?
No, it doesn't. Any engine that runs smoother and cleaner will run longer. Less effort on the engine, less wear on the engine. If it's struggling to go, you're wearing, because struggling, it'll just make it wear harder because it's not running in true line with itself. Okay? After the saw has been used a while, you run 4 or 5 tanks, you can go back and reset your carburetor. Now on stills, there'll be a little tiny circle on there, and it'll say, and inside the circle it'll say 1, and the other one will say 1.5. That means you close, put your little screwdriver in there and on the screw, and you close it. Then you turn it open 1 full revolution, or 1.5, or 3/4, whatever's in that little circle around that. It tells you how far to open that up. That is your factory setting. Fire the saw up, maybe bump 1 up or bump 1 down, you know what I mean? Play with it a little bit, but you can just set off a factory setting and get your saw to run better. Okay? The next thing I do is I put a better bar on, a decent bar. I'm a Canon bar man. Sukihara makes a good bar. There's a lot of good bar manufacturers out there. I use Canon because my eyes, Canon's best bar, bar none. Okay, that's their logo, and that's what I like. I take that. Most saws around this range come in the 3/8 pitch. 3/8 pitch is the distance of your drive gears. Okay, it has nothing to do with the thickness of your chain. It has nothing to do. It's 3/8 drive. Okay, so it has to match the drive on your saw. Okay, the drive gear. It'll say right on it 3/8, and it'll usually say like 3/8, and then there'll be a slash, and it'll say 8. And you're like, well, what's 8? What's the 8 for? That means that's how many drive teeth are on your drive gear. Okay, when you raise that and put a bigger one on, you get more speed, racing sprockets. You can actually buy little sprockets that you put on there to pick up your chain speed. And if you're going to run electric, I suggest you do that. You can take that electric saw that goes wah, wah, and all of a sudden it goes wah, wah. And you're like, hey, that's more what I was looking for, you know. But the 3/8 pitch, okay, so since it's coming 3/8 pitch, and it will come with a 50 gauge bar on it. 9 times out of 10, it'll have to be 50 gauge. I get rid of that, and I go down to 0.43 gauge. It's a thinner bar, thinner lines. It's a lot less work on the saw. If it don't have to dig a big wide rut, it's only digging a little rut. You know what I mean? So it's less work on the saw. Saw cut faster. Saw cuts faster. You keep your idea moving. The piece is done. You know what I mean? It's just it perpetuates itself. Now the other thing, once you got a decent bar on it, and you know what I mean, and you've opened up your exhaust system, that's about all you really have to do to the saw. And until you start like competing and stuff like that, and then you're like, man, I need more power. I want it to go faster. I need my saws to cut faster because I can think through my carving faster than my saw can cut through the carving. If your saw can keep up with how fast you think, dude, there's going to be short work here, you know. But so what I've done is this one here this saw here. This is my big girl. I call her Bertha. It's an 066. It was made the original year that they came on the market. 3 years after they introduced this saw to the market, they made Bertha. I had a mechanic. My mechanic is a guy named Neil Metler. He'll be down here later on in the week, and he'll have saws. I think he's coming down tomorrow, and he will have some saws for sale. Okay, but I gave him Bertha, and he ported the intake out on this saw. Now, a lot of people say, well, I can do that. All you have to do is take out all the metal and open it up so the air can come into the saw faster. That's right. But there's a configuration. Certain thicknesses on certain walls, and it's actually like an oval shape is the ideal shape to be toned in there. And when you do it properly, wow, does it make a difference in a saw? It's like picking up and you all of a sudden you hit the trigger and it goes, you're like, this is gonna be fun. But, so this is ported intake, and the exhaust system is nothing more. This shell is hollow. There's a little band of metal coming right out of where the exhaust exit the cylinder head. There's a little band of metal on there and a screen in the front, and that's it. So the faster I can feed it fuel and get the air out, then it runs better. So this saw right here, now, to buy an 066, Jerry, they're what, $1,400?
Yeah,
somewhere around in there, $1,400.
Base.
This saw right here, you're looking at about $2,000 worth of equipment right now. Okay, it is not cheap to do that to a saw. So make sure if you do it to a saw, do it to like an MS200, a 660, a 440 mag. Make sure you're not just doing that to a saw that's not worth its weight. You're gonna spend a lot of money on that. You better have one that's gonna last, because saws come in 2 grades, homeowner grade and professional grade. If you don't believe me, look at the still lineup. It goes like 180s are about $180, $200, and then it goes to the 200, which is $650.
And then
it goes, then it goes to the 250, which is, wait a minute, we're back down to 300 now. What the hell's going on here? It's because that MS200 is a professional grade saw, and if you've ever used one, you'd stand up and tell everybody too, because man, that saw is just a banshee with a handle on the back. Man, I love those things. they just run, and they're just most saws will tack out to about 12,000 RPMs, right around there, 12.5. My MS 200, I think I had one tack in 17.9 and one 17.6. So it was like, dude, that's all ran. So once you have it done, if you're going to do that to a saw, make sure you keep saws clean on the inside. And you look at my saws and you say, well, that's not clean. Yeah, it is. On the inside, that saw is like, you could eat out of the inside of that saw. Now let the dirt on the outside, because I don't really care about the dirt on the outside. It's not bothering me. You know what I mean? But everything inside that engine, I don't know, I said this last year, your engine, this side is the most important side of your saw to clean. All the air that cools that engine comes in through this side. If that's all, because a lot of times we'll be carving and we'll be like cutting like this, and you get the beard, saw beard, they call it, you get all these hairs hanging. Don't just brush it off, okay? Let the saw go back down to idle, so you're not drawing a ton of air through your saw. Then wipe it off, because if you do it while the throttle was open, while the saw was still racing, as soon as you knock at it, sucks half of it right into the engine. So you just, but you got to make sure that your saws are kept clean. Those fins on that engine are to cool off, to disperse heat, okay? If they're covered in sawdust and oil and crap, they're not dispersing heat, and all you're doing is heating up your piston, and eventually it will just get so hot that it will weld itself to the inside of the cylinder. Okay, literally. And 9 times out of 10, right front corner, or left front corner. That's where it'll happen. The weld mark will happen in the left front corner of the cylinder, because that is where all the dirt and the buildup came, and that's the hottest part of that magnesium head. Okay? So that is very important to clean your saws. If not, just keep your bank card ready. You'll be buying another one. Now, I wanted to get into, this is what I was talking about with your gauge and your drive lengths, okay? A lot of saws will come 325 pitch. Well, I wanted to take it down to 3/8 slow pro. So you just get a bar and now you have to change the drive gear. Right now it's driving at 325, which is a measurement he's showing you here, from that measurement from there to there. Now it has to match. If not, it won't run. Okay, like I said, that is your chain has to match that. Now the gauge of the bar is how thick the bar is. It's actually the trough inside the bar at 50 thousandths. If you put an 043 gauge chain, it'll fit right on that 50 gauge bar. Slide real nice. But the chain won't cut a path wide enough for the bar to fit through. Okay? You see what it means? So anytime when you're cutting and you get part way in there and you get just to where your bar is buried and all of a sudden the stall goes, it's a no-brainer. Your chain's sharp. Obviously it got in that far, didn't it? Why did it stop? Because there ain't enough room for the groove that you have cut is not wide enough to fit the bar through. Now, sometimes that's just it's the way the bar company manufactures that bar. Have no fear, take a right angle grinder and I grind all that black cannon stuff off there and the name off. And once I get the paint off both sides, I tried it again on this one bar not too long ago. Put it back on, still kind of hung up. So I took the bar and I went just across it this way and I made consecutive lines beside it so all the surface was all straight across. Okay, and I did that to both sides. It still wasn't thin enough. So the next time I flipped it over and I went long ways with it. I didn't just grind off because I wanted to make sure I was taking it off in an even plane. So I just made my marks all go one way. And when it was all covered, I knew I took one thin layer off. You know, best guess. Okay. Once I got the bar thin enough, well, I'll tell you what. Now it's really nice. It's what I wanted. It's kind of hard to show because there's so much on a tooth, on a chainsaw tooth. It's kind of hard to actually see when you're holding up a chainsaw tooth. So I took the liberty of making one larger. This is why I love being a chainsaw carver. It's like, hey, we need yeah, give me my saw, we'll make one of them. I don't care if you forgot one of the corners off your canopy. Yeah, oh, let me see that empty one. Drill it in, you know, make one. But anyway, this is about as mechanically perfect as I could possibly make it. When you look down a tooth, you'll notice the first thing is this comes out off the tooth, off the chain. It comes out around and up and across. Okay? That is because the side of the tooth has to cut a hole wide enough for them rivets to slide past in the bar. Okay? Now, when you go to sharpen that chain, or you get these chains out of the box. This is back to making the saw into a carving saw and taking it away from the manufacturer's specifications. Manufacturer, the engineer that designed these chains, they're designing them for straight cutting. It's what they're designed to do. What's the first thing we do? In there curving around. But you notice that your saw, some saws will want to turn for you and some don't want to turn. Okay, 9 times out of 10, it's the thicker bars and the longer bars don't want to turn. Shorter, skinnier bars turn easier. Okay, but that's not always an option. Sometimes you have to cut 32 inches across in a nice, sweet arc. So how I get my saw to cooperate with my thought is, this raker that's in front of it normally is it's straight, right up off the chain. Okay. And it allows that to see, it sits in front of here, but it tells your tooth how much it's allowed to have, you know, how big of a bite it's allowed to take. And this is straight up though, on it when you first buy it. I take a 420 cutting wheel on a Dremel tool and use the top flat of the wheel, and I grind that off. And I push half of it off until that's only half the distance on top. And the reason I do that, now the side of my tooth can see something. All of a sudden, the side of that raker's out of the way. And when I go to turn a radius, well, the top corner of the chain here and the bottom side on this side are really digging. Now that they can cut, you'll find your radiuses are 10 times easier. They are. Now, once you've sharpened this chain 3 times at least, you know, you think, well, now it's time to drop my raker because there's a slight pitch to the tooth. It comes back. So that keeps dropping every time you sharpen it, it's lower. You don't have to drop that. Push it over the rest of the way until it's a knife edge. You push it into a knife edge and now you'll find that it's cutting your chip in half before it takes it out. But when the tooth bites, it pushes that raker in because it's a knife edge. It'll let it sink into the wood. And you'll find that you don't have to mess, because raker gauges are kind of complicated. They seem they take a minute to figure out until you really realize that that's it. You just lay it on top there and let that raker stick out through the little gap at the end. You know what I'm talking about with a raker gauge? Yeah, just let that sit on top there, and you feel it'll kind of seat, and take a file across that, and anything sticking up past there has to go. Okay. Everybody that I've ever seen teach sharpening says you take 2 strokes on this tooth, 2 strokes on every tooth, 2 strokes on every tooth. That's kind of, I don't agree with that. What if it wasn't quite sharp at the end? Do I take that 3rd stroke? Okay. This is the way I see it. You will never get a chain to cut more perfect than with a grinder. That ribbon, because a chain, I need that board there. A chain doesn't, everybody thinks a chain hits the wood. When the chain hits the wood, sorry Richard. When the chain is in the wood, it does not, that's good, that's good. The chain doesn't, you know, you think that if you drop that chain on there, it's just going to cut a straight line right across that log, right? No. When that chain, as soon as that chain hits the wood, the first tooth that takes a bite doesn't take a bite to go through. It takes the kicks like this. It bites into the wood. The next 2 teeth back don't cut. They're just riding. The 3rd tooth back, which ironically is on the opposite side of the chain, okay, will take the next cut. So when your chain saw's buried in the wood, your chain looks like this, going through the wood. Okay? It lays in a ribbon. Okay? Now, when you mechanically sharpen a chain with a grinder, you get perfect. There's no variation. Okay? So you get a perfect ribbon. However, nothing's ever easy, man. When you file a chain, you can get it sharper because you're getting a smoother grind on there. It's not such a rough, serrated edge as what the grinder will leave. It'll leave a nice smooth edge with the file. However, when you apply human nature and human error, that mini micro difference that you made between the teeth, okay, changed the rhythm. It changed the rhythm of the chain's cut, okay? Is that significant? I don't know. But if you know about it and you know what's happening, it's easier to manipulate a situation. So you just try to learn everything you can of what has actually happened when you're doing this. Okay? So the hand file chain is sharper. But then there's so many ways to hand file a chain that it's unreal. Okay, you can use round files, you can use goofy files, you can use Dremel tools. Whichever way is comfortable for you. Okay? Because if it's comfortable to you, you're going to do a better job with it. You know what I mean? If you're comfortable carving bears, carve bears. If you're not really all that with eagles, you know, you're not going to get it, you know, it's quality, you know, nice of a piece or whatever. So it's the same thing. Use the one that's comfortable to you. Stay in your comfort zone with it. I prefer to use a what's called a goofy file. And they're made by Save Edge Corporation. And they kind of look like this. No, it's a flat file with a semi-beveled round edge on it. Okay, a rounded edge that still has file teeth on it. And what I do, is I like, there's 2 basic edges, and when you're sharpening a piece of steel, there's a hollow ground edge and a chiseled sharpen edge. Hollow ground goes like this at a curve, okay? So that shoulder tapers up to that point. A chisel sharpened, okay? The hollow ground is coved into the cut, into the grind. Chisel sharpens a straight line. Okay, which one's sharper? Hollow ground, technically you can sharpen a piece of steel hollow ground sharper, okay? However, that one will last longer. Chisel sharpen will last longer because there's a bigger shoulder behind it, so it doesn't wear itself out so fast. Now, a lot of it crosses, a lot of the information crosses over, whether this is a round file or the goofy file, it doesn't matter. Your tooth, it goes in at a 30-degree angle, is factory setting. Okay, factory setting. Let's go back to that. Anytime it's factory setting, anything that's factory set is made to cut across the grain in straight lines. So just when I say factory setting, know that that's what the factory intended that to do. Okay, so the factory is a 30-degree angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch my foul at a 45 with the goofy foul, and with a round foul, obviously that wouldn't make a difference. And you drop the tail of your foul 10 degrees. The reason that is, remember how the tooth pitches back? Head's on down plane. From here to here, there's a 10-degree drop in that pitch. It dropped 10 degrees.
From where to where again?
From this side of the cutter edge to that side of the cutter edge.
Oh, okay.
This is farther downhill. You see what I mean? So that's why you have to drop the tail of your foul. Okay? So you drop the tail of your foul, and when you line up there and you start taking that first stroke across there, I don't care if it's a round foul or a straight foul, whatever foul you're using, you will see a shadow line between that cutter edge and the edge of the foul. When that shadow disappears, she's sharp. Okay? Did that take 2 strokes or 3 strokes? This is where I had the argument with that. Okay? If I just took that to sharp, I barely took any length off my tooth, right? So if it took me 4 strokes on the next tooth to get that to barely touch that top edge, it's still the same length as the one before it. That's the human error part. I might have had my foul pitched at a 42-degree angle on this one, or a 46 on the next one, you know what I mean? There's going to be that human error. But this is the only way I've found to counteract. You know, if you know where you're making mistakes, try not to do that anymore. You know what I mean? Simplify it to the point where you can't make the mistake. But once you take that across there, okay, now with the goofy foul, once I've gone through there, I've sharpened that edge. And that's all sharpened. This is sharp down here a ways. Now, take the rest of your foul and go like that and scallop it out. You just carve it out like that. Don't be afraid to put your face down there and see what you're doing. You'll see a clean area and you'll see dirty spots. The clean areas of what you have filed. The dirty spot still needs done. Okay? So take a stroke. Put your face down there and see what you're doing. Look at it. And then you can adjust your stroke to make it more perfect of what you wanted. First thing you should carve every morning, 32 teeth. Carve 32 teeth with the same passion that you put eyes in that last eagle, you're in. You'll walk out there with a sharp saw. If your saw is not sharp, you find your saw slowing down, but I just want to get this ear in, and I'm just going to get... Shut it off, man. Shut it off. Let it cool down. Sharpen it up. And you just saved yourself 4 hours. You know what I mean? Because instead of you standing there fighting that dull chain and wearing out a $100 bar and waxing a like $20 drive sprocket, and how much equipment you gonna take out before you just stop and sharpen it, you know? I'm gonna make stickers for next year that say sharpen it or die. But, so does everybody basically understand that on the sharpening system here? Even with your round foul, you slide that round foul in there, you line up and you're coming down through there. You'll see, now that I've mentioned that shadow, look for that bugger. That Dayton Scoggin told me that, man. Dayton says, oh, hey, I did look for the shadow. When it goes white, it's done. All right. But make sure you're sharpening all the way down to all the tooth that's available. Make sure it's all sharp. Now, when I said that 10-degree drop, obviously when I'm coming across there, you see where the foul's hitting? Right here, right above that dang rivet. When that goes in there like that, that foul can hit that side plate, and it will. Look at 90% of my change, you'll see a scuff mark there. Okay? Keep an eye on that. If you drop that tail too low, if you notice you're doing it, oops, don't, because it will cut a line straight to that rivet head. And you get in there and as soon as you start cutting, that chain separate, go flying off the saw. So make sure you're not cutting your rivet out when you drop that tail of that saw coming across. But you'll also notice that the other strange thing about this tooth, you're like, man, did he break that? That little notch in the bottom? Anybody ever see that done to a chain? Wow, do know something that freaking Justin doesn't.
It gives a couple things.
I take a 420 cutting wheel. I take the 420 cutting wheel and go in on the opposite side of the chain and I notch in there, right at the base. And then I drag it back and I clean out the metal that's underneath it. Essentially, what I just did was I added another cutter edge. Okay? Normally, that's the part of your chain that would have went down and curved in passively into your chain, right? Well, it's facing up. How's it going to take a bite if it's facing up? You know? So when you put that notch in there, as that bar passes through the wood, that notch catches. So instead of rubbing through on the top side, it starts cutting again. It'll actually speed up the cut on your saw. Okay? This is a really cool trick. Don't do it over a 14-inch bar. It gets, I did it to a 066 for Bertha and a 3-foot chain that hangs in the back of my shop, as I'll never do that to again. Because I put it on there and I made 2 cuts and it scared the living daylights out of me, man. I swear to God, if that chain would ever came off, it'd have killed me. I mean, seriously, it literally cut so fast, so aggressive, it was not controllable. That's the game. Get your saw to cut hard and fast and still be controllable. Okay? If you take a brand new chain, sharpen your raker over into a knife edge straight out of the box, you'll regret it. You will regret it. It will be so fast, so aggressive that you can't control it. You know what I mean? Take it to the edge where you can still ride the lightning. But once you can't control it, then you've just made something that's useless, okay? Because you're not going to get what you want from your carving. All right? Let me see if there's anything else about that chain.
On them 420 cutoff wheels, there's a smooth one, and then there's that one that's got the corrugated leg.
Yeah,
You want
the
the
fiber. Yeah, I use the smooth one, not the corrugated one. Will leave it really abrasive, and they're really fast, and the edge on them isn't as machined, isn't as perfect. So that's 9 times out of 10, that's what you're using is the very edge of that wheel. So you want to. I don't like the fiber ones.
Right.
Yeah, they just come in a little bottle, say 420 cut-off wheels.
The anti, I think it's the anti chain where it's got the raker has another thing right beside it.
Yeah.
Not just the single raker. Can you do that with others?
Yep, but always push it, Justin, always, your tooth comes across and goes down, push it out of the way from the side of the tooth, the next tooth will push over. If there's anything back in here, which some of them have a secondary piece that's on the inside, I don't care. This is the part I was worried about. I know as long as I can see out past the mirror, I'm good. You know what I mean? But so you don't have to really worry about the other side of it. Now, if you're going to sharpen it to a knife edge, I've never done it with one of those chains, I don't think. Taking it to the knife edge. That would be an interesting test. Do it and see what happens.
You can try it on.
You're just trying to get me to sharpen your saw again. I told you, dude, that only works once. All right. Is there any other questions on the sharpening aspect of a chain?
Hey, Christian, what about carbide teeth with no rakers?
I am not familiar with carbide tooth saws at all.
That's fire.
Yeah, but I will say this. I mean, I'm a cabinet maker's son, and a planer blade on a table saw, cut nice and smooth, where a carbide tip leaves a rougher edge. You know what I mean? So it would be a sharper, and it would stay sharp longer, but I think it would be like bulky. You know what I mean? Like trying to turn off the light switch with the broom handle. You know what I mean? It just don't seem like you'd have the solid control. I don't know. I'd like to try it too sometime. You should buy one and bring it down.
Tim, the backs, how about taking the backs?
Oh yeah, I didn't discuss that. Does anybody know why you do that? Anybody know why you take the back? You'll see all cars taking the back of that heel off there.
Is it an extra
This here? What comes around?
Yeah.
does two main things. The two main physical things that are happening with this that I've seen, because I take shit down from 80,000 RPMs down to like micro slow and watch it in my mind. When this tooth goes in to cut, you ever notice when you go to plunge cut, your saw either wants to lead up or lead down? You can't really get it to go straight in. It's because it won't. It's not. When that tooth goes in, it's cutting, it's cutting, it's cutting, it's cutting. Now you're sitting on top of your tooth. Now you're sitting on the heel. It's not. You can't get that side to go in. Okay, it's no longer cutting in that part of the radius. This is a square tooth, and like from factory, and comes straight off at a 90-degree angle. Essentially, what's happening is that's coming around and it's smacking, it's hitting against the chain itself, hitting the next raker, hitting the next tooth, cause your saw to do that move right there and kick straight back on you. That's what's going on. So if you take that and you apron that off, yeah, you apron this off right here. You see where he's talking about right there? That's the spot. You take that back off at about a 40-degree angle. I do it with the sanding disc on a right angle grinder. Come down over the top and concentrate on the side that it connects, because the other side grinds off real easy. So you go, okay, this side, and baby touch, and then that side, and be focused on the side of the tooth. This is the part you're trying to grind off. That'll come off with it. So, but if you're concentrating on this side, you'll that grind will slip sideways on you. Just keep going. Don't worry about it. If you take one a little too short, we're working on the back side of the chain here, ladies and gentlemen. We're not on the front side. It ain't going to make a whole lot of difference. But the other major thing that happens when you take the back of that tooth off is, remember how that tooth tapers down? Okay? Well, that means it's a smaller hole back here. If you take part of that off, it lets sawdust out of the back of that tooth faster. So you know them guys on the hot saw competitions? Yeah, they'll grind that bugger all back up to here. Get all that out of there, man. I want that dust out of there as fast as possible. Okay, so that's what they're doing. Another thing in there, I'm gonna pass this around. There's an angle on there that says hardwood. Okay? Yeah, we love pine, we love catalpa, but you're gonna be like hungry and have to do an on-site stump carving white oak. Shut up, if you want to eat food, just do the pear, okay? But you're gonna be forced to carve into hardwood, okay? Now, I was in a competition out in Charlotte, Michigan, and the first hour and a half of the competition, I bet you I waxed 2 chainsaw bars, blew the tips out of them, and shoved the chains right back into the bars, roller tips, and blew up a saw. And was like, coffee? I'm walking off the field right now. And I went over and I talked to another carver, and he says, well, Tim, he says, you're doing a lot of tip cutting. I says, yeah, man, the whole thing is like a deep relief, like 10-inch deep relief into this huge white, dead standing white ash. Hard as nails. Been dead for a while too. It wasn't like just died. No. So the longer it's dead, the harder it gets. Chad says to me, hey, sharpen it back to a 40-degree angle and lengthen the edge of your cutter tooth. What? Yeah, try it once. I did it to one saw and didn't put that bugger down. I ran about 4 tanks through it, you know what I mean? And then I was like, finally just said heck with it and did it to 2 more saws, so I didn't beat the guts out of one saw in the carving. When you do that, it pacifies your tip. It pacifies the saw down, and now it's taking a longer, sweeter slice. It's not so much of a square chisel grab. And boy, I tell you what, it took all the jumpiness out. It made it so I could control the saw. And it cut, and I quit blowing tips out on bars. So, because I was frustrated. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna do detail work on hardwoods, just do it to one. Just do it to one chain. I guarantee you, man, you won't not want to put that saw down. Every other saw will not work compared to that one. So that's a neat one too. Now, if you're gonna do ripping, cutting down through a log long ways, stand your log up, you're gonna go down through this way. Believe it or not, go the other way with it. Take this to about a 15, grinding off the tip and making it to a 15-degree angle. Oh, dude, she'll cut harder and faster. She'll cut harder and faster and more aggressive. less control. Find the line. Ride the edge of the lightning and not, you know what I mean? So you can go as fast as you can, get your thought in there as good. Because you get confused, man. You do. I don't know if anybody does, but I'll be carving on something, and if the saws aren't keeping up with my thought, I forget what I was thinking. You know, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It's just, you can't, you're just like waiting on it and waiting on it. You can't, you want your saws to keep up with you. Okay? That's why it says on the side of my van, carving at the speed of thought. I think, therefore, I carve. Any other questions on the tooth?
Now, isn't it like the ripping blade, like on Alaskan mills, like 7 to 10 degrees?
10 degrees is, you can buy them at 10 degrees. I think 10's a bit aggressive, so I tend to lean to 15. Huh?
One is you're cutting, and the next is like a clean out. Is that correct?
Some chains are set up like that. When you're into a ripping chain, it's a completely another. It's like I said, manufacturer specifications. It's designed to do a process. Okay, so they design it, engineer it for that process, and then they hand it to an artist, and he says, "Wow, you can do this with it too." You know, that's where we kind of adapt that. But yeah, a lot of your rip chains do have a raker on them, a sawdust rake, because the sawdust that you're cutting out is real fine. You ever notice that? Cut down that way, you're throwing sand. Cut this way, you're throwing chips. If you lay your log down and cut long ways on it, you're throwing the mozzarella. You know what I mean? So, well, there's something. That means if you can, say I got to cut down and out. I don't level my saw and come straight down and out. I go in like this and cut as much long grain as I can before I have to cut end grain. Okay? Just because it goes faster. It does. It goes a lot faster. It's easier on your chain. It's easier on your saw. It's easier on you. And I heard a couple people commenting earlier, they get tired when they carve. Man, my arms get tired. I can't run more than a whole tank of gas, you know? That happened to me too. I hate it. What I found out though was it was the death grip that was killing me. Okay? Get up there and you're like, you know, clenched on me. Going in there. Relax. Hold your saw. Once your saw takes that bite and you know it's locked into place, relax your grip. Relax your grip. Get off the death. You'll see me a lot of times holding a chainsaw like that. I mean, or I'll go like this. I'll have my finger on the trigger and my hand up here. You know what I mean? And not you get rid of that death grip. So I used to race motocross, man. You grab all them bars, after about second lap, you're like Popeye the Sailor. Your forearms are like rocks, okay? And that's what's happening. Anytime you get clenched up like that, you clench your muscles tight, and when your muscles are tight, the blood can't pump out of your muscle. The part will push it into the muscle, but it won't come out, and that's what causes your muscles to swell up, your forearms to swell up. And then once it gets so far, then it can't get out. So you just gotta relax. Try this one here too. Separate your pinky and your thumb, like somebody's got a puppet, like a puppeteer kind of thing. If you do that and angle your arm out like this, it comes back to life faster. Sir?
Is that, you think plate hanging out and tight, would that contribute to carpal tunnel?
It will. And another thing you really got to watch is the vibrations of your saws. I know you don't want to buy another saw. You know what I mean? It's so expensive to get these damn things. $300, $400, $500 a pop, man. That can really get expensive really quick. But the difference between a good saw and a bad saw isn't just your RPM range or your bottom end power or your top end speed. It's anti-vibration. Ryan Anderson, extremely gifted artist, okay? Amazing individual. My heart goes out to him. He just announced there a couple weeks ago that he has this vibration off the saws is destroying the nerves endings in his hands.
He's all washed up at 25.
25 years old. Okay? Dude, I'm telling you, vibration is a bad thing. And what it gives, it's basically a quick way to neuropathy, which is your nerve endings dying, and then it just it just hurts constantly. Your hands hurt, and then it'll move. And if you keep going, it'll move up your arms and move to your shoulders and move to everything. You know what I mean? So vibration is bad. So when you're clenched, you're taking every piece of vibration that saw has to offer. When you relax, you can carve longer, and it's healthier for your body. It really is. The other thing you're going to run into is where that muscle right there tags on there. It's called tennis elbow. Okay, and if you see when I go like that knot that pops up, okay, that's because I've had it for 7 years, and it heals, and then I rip it again, and then it heals, and every time I rip it, it gets bigger. The knot gets bigger when it repairs itself. But right now, it's been barking over the last couple of days. You get it from putting hair on bears, because we find ourselves holding that saw up, putting hair on the bear. You're gonna find it's a lot easier. Turn your saw over. Just, okay, I told this to, remember when your mom used to tell you in the summertime, in or out, quit running in and out. It's in or out. In or out, top or bottom. You can detail at the bottom of that bar, you can detail at the top corner of that bar. Do not stay in the center. The center is bad, okay? That's where the active part she'll jump up in your face, or worse yet, come up and put a slash line on your carving that you can't get out. Worse than cutting yourself. It screwed up my bear. But if you take the top of that, you're kind of holding the saw like this, and putting the hair with the top corner of that bar, oh man, it's almost like effortless. It's almost effortless. You'll find yourself doing a lot more detail with the top corner of your bar, because, well, look at it, I don't have to hold the saw up like this. Oh man, I love the top corner of that bar. I use it more because when you ever notice when you're cutting this way, it'll cut a certain speed, but when you cut with the top faster, not sure why that is, but don't argue. Just use the top of the bar. It actually, when you really physically look at it, if you're doing a lot of top edge cutting, you'll see it a lot in scroll cutting, where you're cutting the plank out. You go like that and you're scrolling down through there. You'll want to tighten your chain if it's a sprocket nose or if it's a hard nose bar. If you're going to do a lot of it, tighten your chain a little bit, because you're no longer, your drive gears aren't grabbing your chain and pulling it through to make the cut. Your drive gears are pushing it to make the cut. And it wears a groove in your drive gear. So if you tighten up just a little bit, it's still going to happen, just not as bad. Okay? But hey, if you can save it for another week, you can get another couple bears out of it. You know what I'm saying? The right saw. If you're going to be efficient in your carving, the right saw for the right job. We're all guilty of not picking up a big enough saw in the beginning, and we're all guilty to some extent of using it longer than we probably should have. Okay, I use the big saws. I get my meat out of the way. Okay, if you can do it with a smaller saw, it's just gonna take a little bit longer, and you're gonna get bored. You're standing there watching the saw, and you know what I mean. It just takes the momentum out of your carve. It does. If you can go up and go bam, bam, bam. Okay, now give me a smaller saw. Go down to a 16-inch bar, and you block. And what you're trying to do is, see, we're subtraction artists. So you never have to carve it. You really don't, because you look at these complex. I mean, that's badass, dude. How do you not have to? You don't have to go. You don't have to do it. All you have to do is get close. And then be honest with yourself. I can get closer than that. I can get a little bit closer. Keep going down to smaller saws, and when you get the smaller saw, you get a sweeter kerf. You get a more control from your equipment. So you're working your way down through using the biggest saw you can possibly use. I do 90% of my bear hair and stuff like that, and eagle feathers. I do it with a tuning tip. Why? It's faster. Man, your dime tips hold, what, 6 ounces of fuel? 7 maybe. And that dime tip holds 11. That's a no-brainer for me. If it's going to run longer, I'm in it, you know. So you basically, you know, if you go to that dime tip too soon, you just added hours to your carving. You know what I mean? I'm impatient. I really am. I'm impatient. I want to be done already. You know what I mean? I have the thought. Why isn't it already there? So you just You just use the largest saw you can. And when you make those deep cuts with your hair on a larger bar, get all them deeper cuts in there, and then you come back over with a smaller dime tip and put hair over those deep cuts. Wow, now all of a sudden it looks fluffy, you know what I mean? There's dimension to the bear, and it's not a flat surface anymore. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? You kind of look at it and you say, there's just no pop, no dimension to the carving. Something that's just grabbed, that's 9 times out of 10. Oh, just go in there, it's all about commitment, man. Shove that sucker in there. If you're wrong, recover from it. Recover from it by decorating out of it, okay? And guess what? You just made yourself a better carver. Because it's not the mistakes you're going to make on there. It's what you do about them. That's key. And that works everywhere in life, too. All right.
5 minutes.
When you do that little notchy thing in the tooth, you do that to your dime bars. Boy, I tell you what, I handed one to Lynn Randall one time. I said, hey, Lynn, try this saw. He goes, that's what I'm running. It's the same 180 I'm running. Same bar, same chain. I said, yeah, I know, but I sharpen mine different. Check it out. Well, no, seriously, here. I lit it up and handed it to him. He's like, all right. You know, it's kind of like, here, try this can of Pepsi. Is it any different than any other one? You know? And he went over there and he touched on there and started putting hair on the bear. He looked at me like, wow, like he just first seen his first Keller TV, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh my goodness. He goes, that's really, I said, go ahead, use it. He came back over and he said, you just saved me 3 hours of putting hair on that bear, man. I swear, that is so fast. Can you show me what you did there? It just adds so, it makes it so, you see, when you cut a line, like a hairline, a curved line comes down through, and I don't know if y'all watched last year's, you carve and shape with both sides of your chain, okay? You detail with one side or the other, not the full chain, you just cut in grooves, okay? But when you're detailing with the side of that chain and you drag that tooth across there, you get all these perfect little hairlines within that cut line, and when you touch it with a torch, it all goes pop. Everyone goes, that's amazing, how did you do that? I went like this. It did that. You know what I mean? It looks so complicated, much as it could. Hey, it's part of the beauty of what we do. You know what I mean? We look at it as, well, that wasn't that hard, and everybody else is like, oh, you're amazing. Right on. Well, your opinion. I can be amazing in your eyes. All right. Anybody have any questions on that?
Those the goofy files?
Yeah.
They come in different sizes. Or
Yeah, there's a 6-inch and an 8-inch.
okay, so but they're not different like gauges, I guess.
No. But I tell you what, you can't buy them directly from the company. But if you call SaveEdge.com, you know, call them up. They're out in Ohio, there, I think Cleveland or someplace, or Columbus. They'll put you in contact with the dealer, and when you do that, make sure you get the phone numbers of several dealers, because they're a hot item, dude. They're hard to find. They're hard to find.
Can't you buy them off that site?
Yeah,
Bailey's,
save
no,
it.
they were
Bailey's.
back ordered forever. I
Yeah,
couldn't get
Bailey's.
them.
Bailey's
I
is
couldn't get 'em.
back order catalog.
The effort for this file is unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. I should have never even mentioned it. Now, you guys are going to buy them up. I won't get any of them.
Because I'm gonna buy the rest of them.
All right. Yeah, there's a small one and a large one, the 6-inch and the 8-inch. I use the 6-inch because I use them on my small saws too. And you'll find the first thing when you pick up a Save Edge file, even the round files, 1 stroke off a Save Edge file is like 2 or 3 strokes off an Oregon. You will take every Oregon, you will literally go in and collect your Oregon files, bend them in half, and chuck them, man. It's like, I found the perfect one, you know. But Save Edge files are awesome. They are. Portugal steel or something, I don't know what it is. The grind thing that they use on them. But is that it? Over there? Okay. And what was next in it?
Yep.
Yeah, be inspired by everything you see. Everything. Back when I was a roofing contractor, man, I'd be laying on the roof watching the hawks soar over the fields hunting rabbits. And they'd say, look at that lazy man, he should be working. Now when I lay in porch and watch eagles soar over the fields, they say, shh, he's studying. I just like watching the hawks, man. I thought they were cool, you know. So be inspired by all that and take time out you got a unique opportunity as a carver to travel, to meet really incredible people, and go to beautiful places. Don't forget to take a minute. Take a minute and go and meet some local people and see local things and go out into the nature. And I'll tell you, Scotland, I mean, it's like you're walking through the woods, you're just inspired by the little red squirrels and just a plant growing there. Thistle. Just a simple thistle. Dude, you pop one of them out of the quick carve over there, there goes 200 pounds, man. Right on. I mean, people are inspired by the simple things in life. We are. Everybody thinks they want the big shiny everything, but it's the simple stuff that will really sell. I sold down there, I had it on my site. An owl. How many people have owls for sale? Everybody have owls for sale? Carving they sell, dude. They're good owls. But, and you get tired of carving an owl in a tree. So you do, owl on books. Hey, there's a fresh idea I haven't seen in 30 minutes. So I did one standing on the handle of a spade shovel, and then put the spade shovel stuck into a wooden bucket. Sounds kind of weird, dude. I'll tell you what, it sold. Man, everybody was just like, oh, that is really cool. And then he'd walk by, that is really, everybody that came by, it was different. Okay, I'll even give you one that's a really cool one too. I did a quick carve down in Maryland one time, and I did this really cool owl, and it was going to be how imaginative on a tree. And I was like coming down the front, and I thought, you know what, I gotta change this thing up. How do you change that up? Add something spicy to it. I carved a skeleton key on the front of it, on the front of the log, and then just reliefed around it and made the tree behind it. And when I was done, I took a nail, a cut nail, concrete cut nail, painted it black and beat it in there. It was a skeleton key hanging on the tree, and the owl was sitting on there, and people would go, what's the key for? I'd say, ask the owl. I don't know, man. It spurred thought. That's what it is. You spur thought, and if you, damn, sold it for $450. Okay, it was gone. But yeah, it's don't be afraid to throw in that one weird little aspect of it. We all do bears laying down. You know, the little laying down bear. Okay, it looks great on the front porch, and we've all used that line to try to sell it. Hey, there's a nice little front porch bear. Yeah, you put them by your front door. Here's a neat one. One to the tail of the bear. Put a slice line in there that just fits a key. Okay? But put it under the tail of the bear. That way, when you go to sell this piece to the crowd, you're like, yes, it's really cool. If you want, yeah, that'll be nice on my front porch. Yeah, look, you can hide a key right here. And then, well, sadly though, when you're going to get your neighbor to come over to water your plants, you're going to say, the spare key is in the bear's butt. But, yeah, just look in his butt. I mean, really, who's going to check there for a key? You know, I mean, you're not going to walk up and say, I bet you it's hiding there. You know what I mean? Now, with the realism in carving, being inspired by the realism in carving, you know what I mean? I mean, we're all like blown away by some of the stuff that people are pulling off. There's a line in there. Everybody comes down and says, oh man, that's a beautiful alligator, that thing looks real. No. Actually take a picture of an alligator and set it up side by side with mine, and it's almost a different freaking animal. It's not, is that an alligator or a crocodile? It's a timigator. I invented this animal. Yes, there are parts on it that are a remnant of an alligator, but the head shape is more of a black caiman if you really look at it. It's not a crocodile. Crocodiles have the real skinny nose, but every time I carve one, I go, the nose is too skinny. I don't like it. So it's not an alligator, but it's what we want one to look like. And it's the same with the eagle. That doesn't really look like a live eagle, but it's what we want it to look like. This is what, I mean, how many people have seen an eagle up close within 5 feet away? 5 feet away. Has anybody seen it? Okay. All the rest of you guys haven't seen an eagle. nobody out there really got a close look at a black bear. So they're not going to walk up to your bear and go, the jawline is completely wrong. You're not going to find that, okay? It's okay. It's called representation, and that's where the stylizing your art, okay? It's okay to do that. It's preferred to do that. It's what makes your chili different than their chili. You know what I mean? And everything is palatable. Everybody's going to like, somebody's going to like that piece, okay? It's okay. I mean, don't look at it and say, well, I think their bear is better than my bear, and I'm not going to carve bears anymore. No. Because right at the time you do that, somebody will go up and go, oh, you see, I don't like that. Hey, I want to buy this. And you're like, but his is nicer. You know what I mean? Don't question it, okay? And that's only your opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion, but it's their opinion that matters, because that's the one that's going to, they're the one pulling the money out of the wallet. Okay, so just have confidence in your work. Have confidence in yourself, because when people see that confidence, okay, they eat it up. They eat it up. They do. They want the confidence. It's like, you know, I don't know. They don't. There's no attraction. They don't feel an attraction to it. You know, and that people 9 times out of 10. Here's a good example. If I offered you 2 paintings. Unseen. You're not allowed to see the paintings. But I will tell you the authors. One's by a guy named Joe Rittenbacher, and the other one's by a guy named Pablo Picasso. Okay? Now, sight unseen, I'll offer either one of those paintings to you for $100. Which one are you going to buy? Why?
The name.
The name. You're collecting a name. You're not collecting art, you're collecting names. Okay? People come up to me all the time. I just wanted one of your pieces, man. What can I buy? All of it. No, yeah, they do that. They'll be like, you know, I had a really good time hanging out with you last night at dinner. And where are you set up? I want to see it. And then they look at your stuff and they walk off with the bear, because they want something to signify that friendship that they made in that carver. Because, dude, people look at us and say, wow, you're amazing. You can do amazing things, and you get to go to all these great places. They're going to look up to you like you have this magical job, okay? Let them. Let them, and sell them a bear before they leave. Okay? You have to know that, so you have to present yourself as that. You know what I mean? And it sells. It sells it. You know? That top one's an eagle walking. I actually carved that. You think it'd sell? Did you ever see an eagle on the ground? He goes like this. First off, he's got claws. They're made for grabbing stuff. They're not made for walking on rocks, so he can't really stand on the earth, and he's not the most graceful critter you ever saw. Okay? So there's that thin line between realism and you know, the stylized carving. Make it palatable. You know what I mean? Turtles. I carve a lot of turtles. And one thing that I've been preaching for years, the back of a turtle shell, you see so many, because we all carve turtles. All turtles have 13 sections on their back. All species of turtles, those shapes are differently shaped, but there are 13 of them.
How many the outside?
I don't know. I think that has something to do with the ears.
28.
28? There's 28 on the outside, Jerry says. I'm going to go count turtles now from here. No, a lady laid that on me at a fair. She said there's 13 lunar months in a year, and there's 13 sections on a turtle's back. Okay? And the easiest way I found to put a turtle shell. They're basic, an oval, okay? Sea turtles will be more broad in the front, and they'll teardrop back like a heart almost, okay? That outside line shape is species, determined by the species of turtle you're carving, okay? Once you get your outside edge rim line in there where you're going to put your tabbies, and no, they don't stick straight out, they go down. I know it's a real pain too, because you get to the leg and you can't get the saw up underneath there to get it to go in there, so you got to kind of rub it out or whatever. But once you get that ring around there, You put a front section, mark for the front, mark for the back. Take the area you have in the middle, split it into 3 by making 2 lines. That one connects, that one connects, that one connects, that one connects. See that? They go off in a point. This is the easiest way I've ever found. Now, connect the points. 13 sections, 5 down the middle, 4 on either side. Quick, easy, and you can go, and it really makes you look good because you go tap, 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 and they go, look at that turtle shell. You know what I mean? It just pops right out there. It looks so perfect. Really. Because I don't know, I look at my own work and go, that's so out of balance, that's unreal. Yeah, if you think it's perfect, I love it. You want to buy it? So that's the easiest way I've ever found out. Now, like I said, but try to pick a turtle. Don't just say I'm going to carve a turtle or I'm going to carve an owl. But vague. You know what I mean? I want to carve a barred owl. I want to carve a great horned owl. I want to carve a screech owl. Actually look at the owl. Okay? Don't waste your time trying to copy somebody else's eagle. Look at the eagle. Look at a real eagle. And go through pictures and stuff like that. Because there's depreciation when you copy something. You take a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, it just keeps depreciating. And that's what you're doing with the art too. You're looking at a stylized carving and then you're trying to replicate that. Well, it loses something in translation, and you know what I mean? So just kind of look at the original animal. Because I tell you what, some turtles, they're not that hard when you look at some species. Leatherback turtles, those lines are barely even, they're more like bar lines that come down the back of the turtle. It's a water turtle. The East Coast, like Outer Banks, you'll see a lot of leatherback turtles, stuff like that. And that's another thing too, like the reason I know that, I was down there and I took time out from carving and I went to the turtle hospital and, you know, just checked it out. Experienced the areas of what it has to offer. You know what I mean? Because you learn so much little cool information. Yeah, when you start really looking at animals up close, they don't look like what you thought they looked like. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's really good to familiarize yourself with an animal. A lot of times I'll Google the animal and I look through all the pictures, and when I find a picture that I like, I screenshot it. You know what I mean? And go down through and then just inspire yourself with that, you know what I mean? Or punch it up and actually read about the animal's habitat, read about what it does, how it hibernates, what it does in its yearly cycle, okay? The more you know about that animal, the more apt you are to be able to put that animal into a situation that looks natural. You know what I mean? I lost a comp down one time down in Georgia because I carved alligators and I had an overcut in the bottom of my tree, so I just cut it out and made chip marks on it and put a beaver there. Figured, problem solved. Dayton looks at me and says, ain't no beavers in the swamps by alligators. That should have been a muskrat. I didn't understand my area, you know? You hear that? Okay. But was there any questions on any of that? Y'all good? Thank you.